Hey everybody, welcome to this week's podcast. I got some random tech stuff to talk about at the end, but for now, let's jump right into it and see what's been going on in the past week. There's a new memory card, or controller pack, for the N64 called the ForeverPak 64, designed by the company 4Layer Tech, that aims to solve a bunch of problems with the original. First and foremost, it's getting harder to find the originals in good condition, and a lot of the third-party ones out there are terrible. They lose saves within a few months, they're low-quality manufacturing, so people really have been sticking to the official Nintendo ones, but all of them are going to need new batteries fairly soon, and some others have had different issues requiring them to be opened up to repaired if they could even be repaired at all. So 4Layer Tech wanted to create a reliable replacement using more modern memory technology that does not require a battery, but they also went through a whole bunch of trouble getting the plastic to match the colors of the original cases and controllers. So even if you're just looking for an aesthetic upgrade, these things look absolutely awesome. And Tito from Macho Nacho Productions did a great video on it. If you're even slightly interested, definitely check that video out. The only thing to add, which a lot of people were asking questions about, is does this increase the storage of the original memory card controller pack? And the answer is no, it can't, because of how the N64 addresses that. There's no way to, unless you were to hack the ROM, which is kind of defeats the point, but there's no way to just add more memory to these packs. So it really is at the maximum. I think if you were to do that, you would need something like the current solution for the PlayStation, the MemCard Pro, which would be a lot more expensive than this, but could possibly offer a bunch of different virtual memory cards. But this is a $30 solution that's high quality and looks great, so I think that's definitely something to keep into mind. Other than that, the only other solution I could think of is something like the MemCard Pro, but those are definitely going to be a lot more expensive. So if you're looking to upgrade your controller pack, or if you need one, this one comes highly recommended. And I talk a little bit more about this in the interview with Shank, which I'll get to later. Genovi just released a video that showed every game compatible with the mouse for the Sega Genesis called the Mega Mouse, and while the video by itself was awesome and I certainly enjoyed it, I really enjoyed the little tidbits that he threw in there, that a lot of which I didn't even know. So I didn't realize that there were two types of a mouse. The one that was released in Japan had trackball support, and the one that was released in the US did not. But there's also some more interesting things in there as well, like there were two versions of Marble Madness released, one with mouse support, one without, and there was also games like Rise of the Dragon that supposedly had mouse support, but Genovi could only get it to work sometimes, but not others. And that really got me thinking, with all of the amazing ROM hackers and the very awesome members of the retro gaming community out there, is there a way that we could patch some of those buggy games to have proper mouse support? Because I remember playing Rise of the Dragon as a kid, and I loved the game, but just using it with a controller was so cumbersome. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, maybe I need to give it another chance or something, but I thought having mouse support for that would have been really awesome. And that also even led me to wonder, what version of Marble Madness was I using when I hooked up the Sega Sports Pad, so the trackball for the Master System, because it seemed to work and everything seemed fine on it, but what if I was using the wrong version and just kind of faking it through? Could that game be patched to use the Sega trackball? Could only one of the two versions be patched? So I would love to ask any of you amazing people in the retro gaming Genesis hacking community, is any of this stuff possible? And if it is it easy, or is it a giant pain in the butt? Because I don't ever want to ask somebody to, do a crazy amount of work. But if this is one of these things where there's already code available out there and you could pretty quickly put a patch together, I think it would be really worthwhile to do something like that and host it up on romhacking.net, or if for whatever reason they don't want that, you're welcome to host it on my site as well. So it's definitely an interesting video and an interesting concept of hacking some of those old Genesis games to fix their mouse support, or I guess Genesis and Sega CD games. Retro Gamer Store has just posted some progress updates on the Super Famicom clear and smoke shells. It looks like tooling is done and they're going to production soon. And tooling is a huge step. So for anybody that's unfamiliar with plastic production like this, imagine the tooling being like the mold, but they're made out of metal, and each piece of plastic would require its own tool. And the quality of the tool completely and totally determines the quality of the plastic. And when you're doing things like clear and smoke clear shells, every little imperfection will show up. So the fact that Retro Gamer Store is done with the tool and that they're getting ready to go into production means that this thing's done. As long as there's no major issues in production, they should start shipping fairly soon. So that's always great news. Pre-orders are about to close on the main page. So if you're interested in one of these, definitely pick it up right now because there may not be a second run. I'll get back to that in a second. So you could pre-order directly from them or through Castlemania. I have a bunch of links to them in case you have some Castle Cash or something that might be a little bit easier. And also the Genesis design is complete with just the power switch and volume slider left to create. But that's now going to start the tool creation phase. So the Genesis one is a few months away, I would guess. Also, it seems like at the moment they're going to be shipped with 2 sets of stickers, one that would turn it into a Mega Drive, the other that would turn it into a Genesis. So hopefully they're really high quality stickers, so if you're looking at it, it feels like the original. I do hope they include the high definition graphics part for people who want it, just because I'm a dork and I want the original one I used to see as a kid. And if anybody has any questions as to the quality of these, I highly recommend just skimming through the live stream I did. There's no reason to watch the whole thing, but you could get a sense of what it was like to work with it, how much I liked it, and how good the quality was. Because I think that's the one thing I always have to make sure to bring up in these, is that the price is very expensive, and that's a totally fair complaint to have, but it's not overpriced. Whenever you're making plastic this way with tools that cost an insane amount of money, the quantity dictates the price. And it's kind of one of these chicken and egg scenarios in that if they were able to make and sell 10,000 of them, it would be infinitely cheaper than making them in the lowest minimum order quantity run of 500. But unfortunately, I just, as much as I say this, some people just don't get it. Or they're just trying to get a rise out of me by trolling. And, I guess, hey, congratulations, you've worked. You and your 4 clone Twitter accounts have got to me. I'll try not to let that happen again, but I always got to be honest about this. It is expensive, but Retro Gamer Store isn't price gouging. They're just trying to make them without losing any money and maybe make a little bit of profit on top of this. So if you're interested in one and you don't mind spending a lot of money on it, definitely pick one up now because there might not be another run as a result. But, at the same side, if you do think it's too expensive, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Maybe just don't go around being a dick about it for people that do understand the differences. A team of ROM hackers have just completely and totally transformed Doom for the 32X. To call it a ROM hack would absolutely not be doing it justice. This is a complete rebuild of the game with new music, a ton of performance updates, support for the Sega Mega Mouse, and just way too many things to list in this video. In fact, I originally planned on making a video just about this, and then I saw Sega Lord X made one and thought I might not have been able to do as good a job anyway, and it is a great video. So if you're even slightly interested, definitely check that video out, or at the very least, go to the romhacking.net page for it and scroll through all of the different enhancements and all of the different things that the team did. I mean, it is really impressive to see all of the different changes that were made and all of the things that were added. Just an awesome achievement, and I just wanted to congratulate everybody who worked on this. I also wanted to give a shout out to somebody who donated a 32X to try to help make this, to ensure that this was compatible with original hardware. I always like to bring up the fact that there are some really amazing people in the retro gaming scene, so I'm going to say field, but the scene that always want to help. And it's anything from helping with their technical knowledge on these projects to finding stuff that people need to, even if they have the ability to, just donating to different projects to make things happen. So I'm so appreciative of all of that, and I was very happy to be the middleman for this one, which is why you see RetroRGB in the credits. I didn't do anything other than be the happy middleman and just, connect two very cool people to get a real 32X out to make this happen. So thanks to everybody involved, and once again, if you have the ability to play a 32X ROM in any way, you gotta check this out. Mess with the settings, play around with it. It's really impressive to see what they did. Developer Aaron Bonham has just released a GitHub open source project that replaces the BKM 10R control modules for BVMs. And if you're an owner of a BVM D series, this is a pretty big deal, because the project that Aaron's calling the BKM 10Arduino, I don't know. It looks cool. I don't know how you say it. No offense. I can't pronounce anything. But the project is made from all off-the-shelf parts. There is no original Sony stuff necessary. There's no proprietary stuff necessary. And it is absolutely awesome to see a project like this come about, because those BKM 10Rs, the control modules, are becoming more expensive, but they're eventually just going to be hard to find, which means there's going to be BVMs out there that are probably in good working condition that you can't really use. Because while if you have multiple and you have one controller, you could always swap between them, but even if you have a friend with one, you could set up your BVM to work with one signal, with one set of settings, and then kind of hope that every time you power it off and on that it retains those. But without a control module, you can't do anything else, and if anything gets reset to a different input, you're stuck. So these things are absolutely required, and I'm so glad to see that there's a project that would replace that altogether so you don't need them. The one thing that I would like to see that they're not quite there yet is to be able to just buy one of these. At the moment, you could totally make your own. It's functional and it works, but I would love to see something that's, everything integrated on the board, comes in a nice 3D printed case, has just a serial port on the back so you could plug a serial cable into it and go directly into the BVM. But I guess we'll get there. I saw Martin, the creator of the 68X clone, had also kind of chimed in about this project. And I saw Aaron talking to a few other cool people on Twitter who might actually make this thing happen as like an off-the-shelf thing that you could buy at some point. So thank you so much to Aaron and absolutely anybody else who's getting involved with this, because if you're a BVM owner, even if you have a working control module, how annoyed would you be if that thing stopped working one day and you can't find another one, but you have a perfectly good BVM there? So this is definitely something I will be purchasing the moment it's available, and very cool to see stuff like this out there. I just posted an interview with Shank from Shank Mods, where we get to talk about all of the different projects he's been involved in, ranging from things like taking consoles and turning them into handhelds, which is a big focus of his YouTube channel, as well as his involvement in 4Layer Tech and just the modding community in general. 4Layer Tech is the company that made the ForeverPak 64, the thing that I talked about at the beginning of the episode, and they make a bunch of other really awesome stuff that is really focused on people who want to take consoles and make them smaller for handhelds. Now, I'm totally not doing that justice. We talk a lot about it in the interview, so if you're even slightly interested in that, please give it a listen, because he was a blast to talk to. I learned a lot about the different stuff that they're doing, and really enjoyed hearing some of the stories about how they were able to trace out Wii motherboards in order to figure out the layouts and stuff like that. It was just a great chat. And to be honest, I'm going to try to continue on the whole Monday morning interview thing, because I feel like that's something that people can enjoy throughout the week. They see the notification come up, so as they're commuting or working on projects, they know they're going to have one longer form conversation to listen to, where I hopefully get to talk to very cool people in and around the retro gaming scene. So I'm going to try to keep that one going. My time's obviously limited because I kind of just push myself, and I'm a bit of a workaholic, in case you haven't figured that out. But I'm going to try my best to keep that going, because one of my favorite things involving RetroRGB is just talking to all of the awesome people I get to meet, and getting to talk to Shank and introduce him to any of you who might not know him, which probably unlikely because he's got a pretty huge YouTube channel, but still, it was a lot of fun talking to him, and I just enjoyed the conversation and want to have a whole bunch more like it. So please check it out wherever is easiest for you. Any of the video services, all major podcast networks, direct download, whatever's easiest for you is the right way to listen. Modern Vintage Gamer just posted a video about the Nitro DS dev kit for the Nintendo DS, and this was the first time I really got to see how the software for this device worked, that alone is worth watching. So for anybody unfamiliar, the Nitro DS emulator and capture, and I think there was one other, were devices for the Nintendo DS that allowed people to do a bunch of different things. The capture box was simply meant to capture audio and video from it, just to make things easier for people who want to get screenshots, people who want to do demos, people who want to do live streams like I did, which I'll get back to in a second. But the Nitro emulator was designed for developers to create games. And it had a bunch of different features that were totally developer focused that I'd never gotten a chance to even see in action before MVG's video. So if you're interested in what this is like, I would definitely give that a watch. And I would also watch just the first 2 minutes of the stream I did with Tito from Macho Nacho Productions. Now, if you would like to watch the whole stream, I thought we did a good job demoing the different ways streamers could use the Nitro DS capture. And Tito was just great to talk to, so I had a lot of fun doing that. But the first 2 minutes are like a higher production white box video compilation of the different units and how the hardware looked on the inside of them. So I think if you're interested in these and you want to see the different models, or at least 2 of the different models available, check out MVG's video, watch the whole thing, it was awesome, and at the very least just watch the first few minutes of the live stream, and you could kind of get a sense of what these things are about. Now, there are probably a million different ways that you could go about getting captures of DS, ranging from emulation to the USB devices, which I don't think are released anymore. So I don't know if hunting down one of these boxes is the best thing for streamers to do. I think it certainly is a wonderful piece of history, and I think any collector would really love to have one. But I would also at some point like to revisit what's going on with DS TV Out and see if there's anything else available. The video that Tito did a while back about the team that open sourced their project was certainly intriguing, and that looked like a very cool way to do it, and probably a lot cheaper and easier than trying to find one of these kits. But I'll stay on it because I think playing handhelds on big screens is something that most gamers would want to do at some point, so I'll keep everybody updated. But for now, check out the MVG video. Mr. Add-ons is now selling a new version of their SNAC adapter for the Mr. FPGA project. This one is completely enclosed and comes with a USB pigtail, so it doesn't put as much strain on the USB SNAC port. Now, for anybody who's unfamiliar, SNAC looks like it's USB, but it's not, it's serial, and it's a way to directly interface peripherals with the FPGA pins that's used on the DE10 Nano, which is the heart of the Mr. project. And I always want to make sure I'm clear that this is not something you need for a zero lag gaming experience. All you really need is a very good low latency USB solution, and if you want to use original controllers, the MacGyver solutions are absolutely awesome, and they're all you would ever need for that. SNAC is designed for peripherals that need to sync directly to the timing of the games, and the most common solution would be light guns, and that's the only time you would actually need one of these. So I just always want to make sure that I'm clear about what accessories to get and why you would want them, because the Mr. project can still be a bit confusing. I still really want to do a video on that as soon as I have time to, but this is basically SNAC is a device that you need if you want to play light gun games with original light guns on CRTs. It's not like the mouse cursor idea where you could use the Wiimote for that, which is still awesome. I still have to get around to doing that. This is all original stuff on CRTs only. And if you want to do that, you're required to get a SNAC adapter. I would highly recommend the pigtail, which this one comes with. And then you're going to also need a controller adapter to go from the console that you're trying to connect, so an NES Zapper, the Super Scope, whatever, into the SNAC port. So SNAC is actually always 2 pieces. And that's the only kind of frustrating things about it in the past, was that I don't remember anybody having a case for it. So there was always something that would show up as an open PCB that I'd wrap in black tape so I wouldn't short it out on the top of my monitor. And I never liked the fact that you needed 2 pieces. I thought a much more streamlined design would be all in one. And I've seen prototypes of them, but I haven't seen anybody bring them to market yet. So, if you're looking to get a SNAC adapter now, this is the one I would recommend. Check out what else Mr. Add-ons has to offer. But if you're kind of looking to see what's coming next, I hope people come up with a really nice enclosed solution that have all of the options that you need. In fact, I think Mick Guyver even mentioned potentially making a dual adapter that does both SNAC and USB to take care of this. So, I don't mean to put down Mr. Add-ons. Pork Chop Express is somebody I talk about all the time. I always sing very high praise. And of course, I'm super appreciative of Ronnie writing this up, because there's a lot of people that want a SNAC adapter now, and this is the one I would recommend. I just always like to add perspective, because I'm in an interesting spot that I do development work, and I also talk about this stuff, so I always kind of see what a product could be, not just what it is, which I imagine pisses off every developer that I work with. But, whatever. So I just kind of wanted to lay everything out for anybody who might have been unfamiliar. But if you want a SNAC adapter right now, this is definitely the one I would get. Before I go, I just want to quickly remind everybody that I will be at Retro World Expo on November 6th and 7th. I know I've talked about it the past few weeks, so I won't spend too much time on it, but I love going to expos. I love meeting as many of you as I can, and I think I'm going to have a blast with Destiny and Beast, hanging out, doing a panel, and just meeting all of you. The discount code is expired, but there are still tickets available, so if you're in the Hartford area, please consider coming by. I think all of us would love to see each other, especially after being locked down for so long, and it should be a really good time. Well, that's it for this time. If you're watching this as a video and not as an audio-only podcast, you've probably noticed that I've been doing some green screen stuff, and hopefully you found the joke about me putting my old background in at least mildly amusing. But I set up my green screen stuff because I thought it would be neat to add to a different video that I'm working on, and then thought, well, I've already spent 2 hours setting this stuff up. Let me try it for the weekly and see how it feels. And it was kind of cool. The only problem I have with it is the setup. And after 2+ hours of tweaking, after breaking down and whining to My Life in Gaming and to Epos Vox for help, I think I figured out that the issue is my screen itself. And if I just got one of those nice pull-up screens that isn't beat up and old, I probably would just be able to do it in 5-minute setup, not hour-plus setup. But I did want to know everybody's opinion. Did you like it? If it's an easy thing to do, should I try it again? Does it not matter at all? The one thing I did always like about the weeklies, both this and especially the Q&A, is I wanted them to feel like a conversation, something very laid back, as if you were sitting at a coffee shop or a bar with me and just chatting about the stuff that we're talking about. So if having a green screen somehow takes away from that, I definitely wouldn't want to do that. But I still probably will mess with it for the fancier videos just because. But anyway, as always, thanks to everybody who watches, listens, plays nicely in the comments, and especially to everybody who supports on services like Patreon and Floatplane, because it is you who is keeping all of this stuff alive, and I really appreciate it. So thank you all very much, and I'll see you next week.